Hello and welcome back to Media Law to Module 4, and that is Part 4 of the textbook where we're looking at secrets, terror and discrimination. Well, this is an interesting part of the course because both journalists and other media professionals are really integral to this area of secrets, where we review both the area of disobedience contempt, which involves a journalist who has made a promise to a source that they will not reveal their identity, and then perhaps faces trouble, even jail, in court for refusing to answer a question, revealing that source or perhaps the source of information that they've been given as part of a court case. So that's one area of secrets, the confidentiality of sources. It's interesting beyond journalists, of course, because public relations practitioners and many other types of people can be at the other end of such an agreement. They might be the sources or the whistleblowers who the journalists are trying to protect. But the flip side of refusing to reveal a secret source is, of course, unnecessarily or perhaps illegally revealing a secret that should not be revealed. Now, this introduces the area of breach of confidence that we deal with. Sometimes, particularly journalists, get information in their possession which is top secret, and it could be commercial in confidence information to do with some secret formula or some secret government documents, and it would be in breach of some confidence for them to reveal that. Now, that's a whole legal action in itself, breach of confidence, which has certain criteria that we learn about in the chapter and also in the lectures during this module. So we have those two things going on within secrets and confidentiality, the area of journalists not wanting to reveal a source and whistleblowers and perhaps public relations practitioners not wanting their identity revealed. And on the other side, journalists blabbing secrets that are confidential and facing legal consequences for having revealed those secrets. So that's that area of secrets. Another area of secrecy is actually part of the next chapter, looking at terror and hate laws. And particularly in Australia in recent years, but also in other Western democracies, we've had a real creep in the number of anti-terror and national security laws that have been introduced. In fact, some have even been introduced very recently in Australia, even since the most recent edition of the textbook was published. So you'll need to go out and find some fresh information about that legislation in the anti-terror, national security and metadata laws that has been passed even since the textbook was published. Now, these anti-terror laws affect a whole range of people, and especially journalists who are working in that space, in the national security space. There are laws restricting who they can talk to, that are banning them from certain places of talking, that relate to the compromising of their sources through the retention of data, through the recording of their movements, through CCTV cameras, and a host of other things at both an Australian and an international level. So the chapter goes into those pieces of legislation, but also looks at it internationally. The likes of Julian Assange and Edward Snowden, who have breached national security laws in other places by bringing important information to the public, but sometimes through compromising sources in the process. And the final area we look at in the module is to do with hate speech, vilification, various state and federal laws to do with this area of discrimination. Now, of course, this overlaps to some extent with ethics, because it's in most ethical codes that we shouldn't discriminate or show any favour or unnecessarily mention certain characteristics of people unless they're absolutely central to a story. When it comes to the area of race and religion, it's a highly controversial and actually quite flammable issue, as we've seen internationally with the Danish cartoons and the Charlie Hebdo incidents, when the media focus on race or religion, or perhaps publish material that is in breach of some people's beliefs, and there can be quite violent consequences. We are most concerned with the consequences that are legal in this country. So we have at a national level the Racial Discrimination Act, and we also have various discrimination and racial vilification laws in place in the states and territories, which make it an offence to vilify someone on the basis of their race. We also have the regulatory bodies that police this area at a self-regulatory level. The Australian Press Council, the Australian Communications and Media Authority. These are such bodies that have codes of practice or statements of principles that also cover this area of racial and religious and sexual, gender-based discrimination or vilification. Well, there's a lot ahead of us here, and your learning problems do centre on these issues. So I suggest you get reading, get into your chapter readings and start thinking about them and start grappling with those problems both via the discussion board and in your tutorials. Bye for now.